Now, my ears may have been playing a trick on me, but I thought I heard the gentleman a moment ago say something, quote unquote, about homos in the military. Was I right in hearing that expression?
Absolutely. Putting homosexuals in the military.
You said something about homos in the military.
I am absolutely penetratively shocked. I don't think the gentlelady from Colorado has ever been shocked about anything in her life, especially this. Secondly, I look at the individuals that are offering this. Is there any shocking doubt? The same people that would vote to cut defense $177 billion, the same ones that would put homos in the military, the same ones that would not fund BRAC, the same ones that would not clear up. No, I will not. Sit down, you socialist.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here. And back in May of 1995, on the House floor, California Republican Duke Cunningham, a decorated Vietnam fighter pilot, Navy commander, and Top Gun instructor, stood there and casually tossed out a slur at gay service members like it was nothing.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
The gentleman yield.
The committee will
The
be in order.
ludicrousy of
Mr.
this,
Chairman.
even
The
to
committee
appeal
will be in order
this.
and the gentleman will suspend.
The voice of reason that day wasn't coming from inside the Republican Party. It came from Bernie Sanders, then just a congressman from Vermont who wasn't having any of it.
Was the gentleman referring to the many thousands and thousands of gay people who have put their lives on the line in countless wars defending this country? Was that the group of people that the gentleman was referring to?
I'm talking about the military. People in the military do not support.
That's not what we were talking about. You used the word homos in the military. You have insulted thousands of men and women who have put their lives on the line.
I'm talking about you and liberals like you that keep deferring to defense.
Even in 1995, Bernie was doing what he's been doing his whole career, fighting for people's rights, representing the voiceless, and standing up to bigotry. And he did it in a way he always has. He does, methodically, firmly, and without apology. That clash was more than just a policy debate. It was the tail end of the hippie era versus the old school, hardline military establishment Cunningham embodied. You had the Vietnam generation split between those who fought, bled, and sacrificed, and those who fought just as hard at home against a war they saw as corrupt and immoral. That tension never really went away. It just changed uniforms. Fast forward almost 3 decades, and the names have changed, but the characters? Oh, they're still here. Today's roster is filled with MAGA knockoffs on that old guard. Lauren Boebert, Marge the Trainwreck Green, and Pete Hegseth. The Fox News talking head turned defense secretary, who once argued women shouldn't be in combat and now sits at the Pentagon like a cosplay crusader for the MAGA morality police. It's the same cocktail of fear, projection, and hate, just with worse haircuts and social media accounts. Back then, the big debate was over don't ask, don't tell. The Clinton-era policy that said gay service members could serve as long as they kept their identity locked away. You could be good enough to take a bullet for your country, but not good enough to tell your unit who you were. The message was crystal clear. Serve, but stay invisible. It wasn't because gay troops were undermining missions or breaking discipline. It was because the straight, male conservative brass felt uncomfortable. Fear, not facts, is what drove the policy. Over time, more studies, more veterans, and more leaders said the same thing. Allowing gay troops to serve openly does not hurt the military, but facts weren't the point. Control was. Then 2010 came. Barack Obama repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell, a milestone that recognized patriotism isn't defined by who you love, but by your service and sacrifice. For a moment, it felt like progress, which meant it was only a matter of time before the GOP made it their grudge match. Because here's the thing about today's Republican Party. If Obama did it, they want it gone. Doesn't matter if it saved lives, expanded rights, or strengthened the country. Their MO is simple. Erase every piece of progress tied to his name. And if that means targeting our own service members to score political points, they've proven that they're absolutely fine with that. When Donald Trump, the 5-time draft dodger who got out of Vietnam thanks to bone spurs from a rich daddy's doctor, announced on Twitter, not in a Pentagon briefing, that transgender Americans would be banned from serving in any capacity. No hearings, no Pentagon policy review, just a knee-jerk tweet that blindsided the military. The excuses were garbage. The Pentagon's own research had already debunked claims about cost or readiness. It was about erasing Obama's legacy, full stop. Thousands of service members who had done nothing but serve honorably were suddenly told that they were a problem and that they had to be removed. Now here we are in 2025. The pettiness continues. The Air Force recently rescinded early retirement benefits for transgender service members, a move so small-minded it could have been written on one of Stephen Miller's cocktail napkins. We're talking about people who followed the rules, served their country, and sacrificed. And that's where Pete Hegseth stumbles in, the perfect example of the fake warrior class now running the show. This is a guy with a Crusaders Knights of Jerusalem tattoo inked across his chest like he's about to lead a medieval charge to the Holy Land, except he's not a Knights Templar. He's a Pentagon cosplay commander. He probably doesn't even understand the real history of the Crusades. Hegseth's record is just as ridiculous as his tattoos. He reposted a video of his pastor calling for gay sex to be illegal.
Christchurch senior pastor Doug Wilson makes no apologies for his beliefs on God and country. A big focus of his Christian movement is on a patriarchal society where men are dominant and women are expected to submit to their husbands.
Women are the kind of people that people come out of.
So you just think they're meant to have babies? That's
well,
it. They're just a vessel.
No, it doesn't take any talent to simply reproduce biologically.
Wilson says in his vision of a Christian society, women as individuals shouldn't be able to vote.
There are some who have gone so far as to say that they want the 19th Amendment repealed.
I would support that. And I'd support it on the basis that the atomization that comes with our current system is not good for humans.
What he also wants gone, same-sex marriage, because he thinks homosexuality is a crime.
In the late 70s and early 80s, sodomy was a felony in all 50 states. That America of that day was not a totalitarian hellhole.
So you would like America to go back to that?
Yep.
And now Wilson's controversial views as a Christian nationalist are gaining sway in the nation's center of power with the recent opening of his new church and high-profile parishioners like Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth.
He's been married 3 times and cheated in his first marriage, but somehow wants to be the nation's moral compass. Since taking over the Pentagon, he's tightened fitness standards to push women out of combat roles and fired at least 5 senior military female leaders. He even brought his pastor to the Pentagon to lead prayer circles that praise Donald Trump as divinely appointed. This is the man deciding who's fit to serve. So when we talk about the whitewashed cult of straight conservative Christian men that they want to be the military, Hegseth is Exhibit A. He's not about readiness. He's about remaking the armed forces into a loyalty cult for the Cantaloupe Caligula at the top. And that's where we loop back to Cunningham. In 1995, he was dead set against allowing gay service members to serve openly. He saw it as a threat to readiness. But here's the question. Would a man with that resume, a combat-tested Vietnam ace who prided himself on courage and discipline, really bend the knee to a draft-dodging con man who cozied up to sex traffickers and palled around with guys who have flight logs to Epstein's Island? Would he salute a wannabe crusader who's more about branding than bravery? Honestly, what's the likelihood? Because if you strip away the politics, in any real unit, respect is earned. You can't demand honor and sacrifice from a rank and file while letting the guy at the top skate by on privilege, lies, and cowardice. That's not leadership, that's a con. And that's the through line from 1995 to 2025. The same fear-driven, control-obsessed mentality dressed up as patriotism. Back then, it was don't ask, don't tell. Today, it's bans on transgender troops, and we have wannabe crusaders turning the Pentagon into a MAGA revival tent. The hippie generation had a song for this, Fortunate Son. It ain't me. I ain't no senator's son. That was about the rich dodging the draft while working class kids fought and died. It was the Vietnam era dividing line between those who paid the price and those who cashed the checks. And here we are again, only now the Fortunate Son is in charge, tweeting out orders between golf rounds and court appearances. So the question isn't whether the GOP hardliners have changed. They haven't. The question is whether the rest of us are going to let the cantaloupe Caligula and his crusader cosplay sidekick keep rewriting history. The definition of service, patriotism, and the honor to fit their culture war fantasies. Because at the end of the day, the military isn't a social club for Jesse Waters and Charlie Clerk clones. It's a fighting force made stronger by diversity, unity, and mutual respect. And anyone from Cunningham in 1995 to Hegseth in 2025 who thinks otherwise is fighting for their own ego and not this country. And that is an absolute fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.